Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on the Joya Gear performance boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Joya Gear performance boxing gloves. Got mine in the blue and silver colorway, 14 ounces in Velcro. You can also get this model in lace up, anywhere between 14 to 16 ounces, with a total of 8 colorways you could choose from that you could check out on the Joya Gear website. As usual, I will put a link to the website down below in the description box so you guys could check it out for yourself. It's made of a synthetic microfiber PU on the exterior of the glove with a soft foamy tricot liner on the inside of the hand compartment, and 5 layers of foam padding over the knuckles that is very firm in density. Lastly, these gloves are manufactured in China. Now, Joya Gear is a company that is a Dutch company that's based out of the Netherlands, and this is going to be the first product I've used in training and now doing a review on from Joya Gear. And when I first looked at their website and I looked at the different models they had, this particular model, the performance glove that I have here, really reminds me of the rival RS100s. And when I finally received them in the mail and started training with them, that really reconfirmed what I initially thought about these gloves. And there's a lot of similarities between these and the RS100s and a couple key differences, but to me, these are like basically the first cousin of the rival RS100 gloves, which is great news because there's really no other glove out in the market that is similar to the RS100s in terms of just the overall feel and the type of foam padding they use. And I wouldn't be surprised if Joya Gear may use the same manufacturer to make their performance gloves that rival uses to make their RS100s, because the RS100s are also made in China as well. So again, wouldn't be surprised if they're made by the same factory. They also have this performance glove in a genuine leather version as well, which is slightly more expensive and comes in white or black colorway. I will be doing a review on the genuine leather version later down the road, but I did want to mention that they have 8 colors in the synthetic microfiber, as well as 2 additional colors in the genuine leather version of this glove. Now, from a design standpoint, you can see it has a very unique look to it. The one thing that I will mention is the microfiber on here, again, is pretty much identical to the microfiber that rival uses in their RS100 and their other microfiber gloves. It has a kind of a grainy texture to it, and it's very thick and very durable. Probably some of the best synthetic you'll find out there when it comes to a synthetic boxing glove. The blue on here is more of like a subdued, kind of like a powder blue, if I were to call it, and has kind of like a pearlescent look to it. It's not metallic, but it does have a little bit of a sheen to it. I'd say it's more of a satin sheen. You also have the JG, which stands for Joya Gear, and that is raised up. So you can see that it actually has raised lettering on that when you rub your finger against that, so it has a little bit of a texture. Not so sure how I feel about that, especially when it comes to sparring. But if you were to use these gloves for sparring, the 16 or the 14 ounce version, I'd probably put tape over that. It's not, doesn't have any edge to it, and it doesn't feel sharp by any means, but it does have a raised texture to it, so just something to be mindful of. On the thumb, it does say Joya Gear right there in silver. And then you'll also notice that it has kind of a split seam that goes kind of horizontally and across all the way up to this thumb, and right where the thumb seam is right here. So you have kind of that separation. And again, that's just more of aesthetic that separates the blue and the silver coming down here. You do have the hinge point, which is double stitched, and a 3.5-inch Velcro strap that says Joya Gear Performance. And again, more of that contrasting color between kind of that powder blue and that silver. It does say 14 ounces here at the very bottom, and you have that tricot liner that is really soft and smooth, which I really like compared to some of those polyester satin liners that tend to kind of baggy up and kind of get in that finger compartment and has a little bit of extra material. The back of the wrist support, I'd say, is about 1.5 inches firm density foam padding on the exterior of the glove. on the interior of the hand compartment is definitely a softer foam they use that makes it more comfortable when it rests against your skin. You'll also notice that the Velcro strap is recessed, so it sits flush in here. So basically they dropped it down to where it's recessed down into the glove, and then you have that foam padding that sits right there. It's a little bit higher up so that the Velcro strap sits flush inside that channel, and it's all one flat piece right there. So definitely like that. It does have a tag on here that shows where it's manufactured, made in China. On the flip side, where the palm is at, you'll notice that it has a ratcheting style Velcro closure, which I think is a big plus with this glove. In fact, I think that this Velcro strap ratcheting system, if you want to call it, does a better job than some other gloves in the market that have a similar design. I know Hayabusa, their T3s have that double wrist lock system, and there's a couple of other brands that do something similar or their own version of that. But I feel like they've done a really great job of making this wrist strap system with the Velcro to where it really locks in your wrist and it kind of pulls this over. And I'll demonstrate that here in a second after I go over the design. More of that same embossed Joya Gear logo right there on the inside. You also have the Dutch flag in red, white, and blue. I think that's a really cool touch that they put that right there vertically on the piping. I think it's just a nice little touch that they added to it, as well as ventilated holes on the inner portion of the thumb. And the grip bar is nice and large, and it has a good firmness to it right there on the palm side of the glove. And lastly, you also have a synthetic leather attached thumb or a microfiber attached thumb right there. So overall, a very unique and clean looking glove. Quality wise, the gloves are really nice quality. I mean, when you're looking at the stitching is all done very cleanly. There are no glaring issues with this glove. When I put the glove on the scale, these are a 14-ounce glove. They're a little bit underweight. I believe the left glove was at 13.4 and this right glove was at 13.6 ounces. So in terms of weight, they're a little underweight, but not by much. You can see the gloves are very well balanced at a distribution of weight. It's not top heavy or bottom heavy with either glove. So the distribution is done nicely. And the material on here, this microfiber, again, you know, if I were to pick a synthetic out there, this would probably be the top, if not one of the top synthetics that I've used. And I know it's the same type that Rival uses. It's the same texture, it's the same thickness, it's the same exact feel as the same as a Rival. One other nice thing about this compared to the RS100 is the RS100 has a synthetic mesh palm, which some people are not a fan of, where the Joya Gear Performance Glove does not have that. They have synthetic throughout. So for those of you that don't like that synthetic mesh on the palm, it's good news that these gloves don't have that. So we'll talk about that in more detail here as far as this being an alternative to that glove from Rival. But the stitching here is done very nicely. You know, there's no imperfections in terms of the stitching on the outside edges, on the palm side. No exposed foam, no tears on the inside liner, no issues on these outside edges. Very nice high quality Velcro strap that grabs on very nicely. The inside liner is done very nicely as well. You see how the stitching on the palm looks really good. On the outside edges, right here where the finger compartment's at and the grip bar, and where the thumb meets the index finger, all the stitching is done very nicely. In terms of the symmetry between the two gloves, I'll put them next to each other. So you can see the logos are done very nicely. Everything is symmetrical and even. The thickness of the foam padding is equal between the two gloves, and the thumb positioning is exactly the same. So you don't have one thumb that's a different shape than the other. So you can see, again, symmetry is a big thing between two gloves. You know, when you're talking about quality, you're not just talking about one glove, but you're talking about both and then how they are together as a pair, right? So that's all done nicely. You can even see the Velcro straps are exactly the same. Right here at the very bottom, where the opening of the cuff is at, where you put your hands into, all looks really good. So overall, a really nice, high quality glove, especially for a synthetic glove. Comfort-wise, sliding your hand into glove, the first thing you notice is going to be the liner. It's very smooth. It doesn't feel itchy at all. You don't have excess material bunching up around your fingers or around your thumb. And it has a very deep finger pocket and hand compartment. And that's the first thing I noticed is it feels very similar to the RS100. So for those of you guys that are watching this that have a pair of RS100s, these are very similar to how those feel. Really nice hand and fist position for both sides. I'll put the right side on as well. But a really nice deep finger pocket, and I can't stress this enough. That liner feels really good. I love the way the liner feels with this glove. Thumb positioning is perfect. It's pulled in nicely. It's nice parallel thumb. And when I make a fist, it doesn't pull down on the tip of the thumb, but that attached thumb prevents the thumb from flaring out if you're to use these gloves for sparring, for anti-thumbing. So the thumb position is perfect. The piping at the bottom is pretty good. I'd say that it's maybe a hair tight on my left side just because my left thumb is fatter than my right for whatever reason, but it's not bad. So once that breaks in nicely, it'll be good and comfortable. Nice deep finger compartment as well. There's no excess material around the fingers. That liner feels really good. And they also use a softer foam that lines up against your knuckles and your forefingers. That feels really soft and comfortable. Feels very plush, if that makes sense. And then you also have another piece of foam and liner that covers the stitching on the interior of the finger compartment. So when you grip down with your hand, it almost acts like a secondary piece of like memory foam to really grip down onto. So that feels very comfortable as well. Then lastly, this wrist support. Let me go take off one glove so I can demonstrate. I think they've done a really nice job with this wrist support and the fact that you can see that it comes through. So essentially the Velcro strap pops through this side. It has an opening and basically a slot. So the Velcro goes through it. And once you pull on this right here, you'll notice that it forces this outside edge and this piece right here to come and sandwich your wrist together. And I feel like that does a really good job in sandwiching that. And if you're looking for a glove that offers really good wrist support in this portion, this does a really nice job. And it doesn't feel like your arm or your forearm is getting choked out or the circulation is getting cut off, but it feels really firm. It would have been nice, and I know that would be kind of copying Rival if they had that strap that came down from the thumb. But I think if they had some kind of version of that to where they got even higher up with the wrist support around this area and kind of pull the thumb inwards, then that would be also a game changer. But for the wrist support that they have right here, I think they've done a really nice job of really locking your wrist in without it feeling uncomfortable. So overall, it's a very comfortable glove. And in terms of like hand positioning, I think they've done a really great job of the hand ergonomics with this glove. Protection and performance wise, this is definitely a protective glove. Not only because of that, the wrist support and how that is, but the padding on here is very dense. And it's gonna definitely take time to really break this glove in. I've had it probably, I'd say maybe like a month and a half now that I've had these gloves. And I mean, your knuckles do not go through. This is basically padding wise like the opposite of a puncher's glove, where your knuckles, like horsehair, softer foam, a latex glove that's very soft. This is not that glove. This is the opposite of that. You actually get a nice sound out of the glove when it makes contact. This is a great glove to use for really all the heavy bags in the gym. If you have a dense heavy bag like a Nozzle or Pro Last, ones that are like rock solid, and you don't like hitting them with your softer gloves, you could probably get away with hitting it with this glove because of how solid that foam is, and it's going to take a while to break it in. In fact, I'd probably recommend it. That way you can soften up this foam a little bit more and it breaks in nicely, but it's definitely on the firm side. So if you want a glove that's shock absorbent, and is very firm and does a really good job of protecting your hands, this definitely would be that glove. I'd say that you'd probably want to break it in a little bit before you use it for sparring, and get the lace-up version for sparring, in my opinion. But once you break it in, I think this foam will soften up even more and it'd be a better glove for sparring. But at first, I'd probably use this for mitts, hitting the bag, and your other training in the gym. And once you break it in, it'll feel really good, but definitely more on the protective end of things. Cost-wise, these gloves are $165. For the synthetic version. The genuine leather version are actually $200, so they're a little bit more expensive. by $35. But the synthetics that you have here are $165, and that is for both the Velcro version I have here, as well as the lace-up version, as well as the different colorways and 14 or 16 ounces, which I think is definitely a fair price. You know, now that I talk about, you know, comparing it to the RS100s, if you got the lace-up version, even the colorways look very similar to the rivals. They have a green and gold version that looks just like the RS100s. And to me, these are basically a more affordable version of the rival RS100s, both in terms of the glove architecture, the way the thumb feels, the hand positioning, the type of foam they use, and then obviously this synthetic microfiber material to me is exactly the same as rival. So you're essentially getting a more affordable RS100 with a couple different features. And the RS100 doesn't come with a Velcro version. It's only lace up. So you have an option for a Velcro if you wanted to go with that. I'd say the one drawback with this glove would probably be the fact that it only comes in 14 or 16 ounces. So it'd be nice if they offered more sizing. So, you know, maybe a 12, 10, and even like an 18 ounce glove for those of you that have bigger hands. That's the only drawback I would say. But outside of that, man, it's really hard to find really any flaws with this glove, especially for this type of glove that is trying to achieve a more protective glove, very hand ergonomic, really cool looking design. So overall, I'm very pleased with these. If you guys have any questions or comments, you guys know what to do. Put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Joya Gear performance boxing gloves. See you guys later. Peace.